He just walked in the door, still 7 years old. 10 years ago, my son vanished from our backyard. He was 7 years old. 1 second on the swing set. The next gone. No witnesses, no clues, no answers. We searched everywhere. Cops, dogs, flyers, nothing. And eventually, we had to accept the unbearable truth. He wasn't coming back. But last night, he walked through our front door, wearing the same clothes, with the same haircut, and still only 7 years old. But whatever came back isn't my son. Not really. It was just past midnight when I heard the knock. 3 soft taps. I opened the door, expecting maybe a lost driver, a neighbor, even a prank. But it was him. Small frame. Red sneakers. Blue Power Ranger shirt. I froze. My knees gave out. I couldn't breathe. "Daddy?" he asked, tilting his head. His voice, his face unchanged, like no time had passed at all. We called the police. We cried. We held him. Doctors ran tests. They found nothing wrong. Physically, perfectly healthy. Emotionally, a little confused, but stable. They asked where he'd been. He just kept saying, "I was in the woods. You told me to wait." But we never told him that. Our woods don't go far. We scoured them 10 years ago. There's no place to hide for even a day, let alone a decade. That first night, we let him sleep in his old room. Everything was untouched, preserved, just in case. Around 3 a.m., I heard whispering. I opened his door quietly. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, talking to the corner. "But I don't want to do that," he whispered. "They'll get mad." There was no one else there. When I asked who he was talking to, he smiled. "You said not to tell." The next morning, I reviewed the baby monitor we had placed in his room. Around 2:46 a.m., the temperature dropped. I saw the reading. Then, movement. He sat up in bed, looked directly at the camera, smiled, but his eyes didn't blink, not once. And behind him, a dark shape hovered for a second. No details, just tall, thin, still. Then it was gone. He laid back down, like nothing happened. He used to love drawing before he disappeared. Now he won't stop. He fills entire sheets over and over, with a tall figure with arms that stretch to the ground. No face, just a mouthful of sharp teeth. Sometimes he draws trees around it. Sometimes a little boy standing next to it. Sometimes me, and underneath every picture, in shaky handwriting, "He said you'd forget me." I took him for a drive, hoping it'd jog his memory. We passed the old woods where he disappeared. He grew quiet, then said, "They live there, you know, in the space between." I asked what he meant. He said, "When you stop thinking about something, it disappears. That's where they live, in forgotten places." "You forgot me, so they kept me." Pulled over, shaking. He smiled again, too calm. "But now I'm remembered, so I had to come back." He won't eat unless we leave the room, won't use the bathroom, won't change clothes. But he talks, constantly, about the other house. He says it looks just like ours. Same rooms, same smells, but darker, colder, wrong. It's where I lived after the woods, he told me, where time doesn't move. I asked what he meant. He said, "I've been watching you for years, Daddy, through the mirrors." I covered all the mirrors that night, every single one. I even caught him staring into the bathroom mirror, not at himself, but just past his reflection, like someone was waving at him. When I asked why, he said, "That's where they still are. They're mad you took me away." I said, "Who's mad?" He paused, then whispered, "The other ones." My wife woke up gasping. Said she heard a voice whispering her name from the air vent. "Not our sons. Something deeper, older," it said. "You kept the door open too long. Now we've slipped through." She checked on our son. He was awake, sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes wide open. When she asked what he was doing, he said, "Listening, and telling me what happens next." The hospital called us back. They ran one last DNA test, compared with older samples. It matched, but something was off. Bone density too strong for a child. Heart rate slower than normal. Teeth Perfect, but too many. 27 on the top row alone. When they asked to keep him for overnight observation, he screamed. A deep, guttural scream no child could make. He looked at me and said, "If I stay here, I'll rot. Take me home, Daddy, or they'll get mad." I did, and now I can't sleep, because I don't know what I brought home. At 3:12 a.m., the landline rang. We haven't used that phone in years, only kept it plugged in out of habit. I picked it up. Silence. Then a faint, broken voice, like static had shaped itself into words. "You have the shell. The rest is still below. He's not whole. Not yet." Then the line went dead. When I turned around, my son was standing in the hallway, smiling. "Was that for me?" he asked. "He doesn't sleep. We've tried, but every night he just stands at the window, staring at the trees, waiting." When I asked what he was looking for, "Suyuzu 4," he said. "They're still there, watching. Waiting for me to come back, or for you to forget me again." And when I pressed him for who they were, he just said, "The ones that wear faces like coats." He asked to go back to the exact place in the woods where he vanished. He remembered the tree, the stump, the little toy car he buried underneath it the week before he disappeared. We went there. The stump was gone, but the toy was still there, perfectly clean, like it had been waiting. He picked it up and whispered, "This place still remembers me." And then he turned and looked at me with eyes that weren't his. Later that night, I found him in the living room, curled up, sleeping on the couch, but I had just put him to bed 10 minutes ago, upstairs. I rushed back to his room. He was there too, awake, smiling. "That one's not me," he said calmly. "They left a copy just in case I didn't make it out." Downstairs, the couch was empty. I started recording our conversations. At first, just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. But when I played the audio back, I heard something terrifying. Underneath his voice, something else. Whispers. Low, layered, echoing in languages I don't know. One phrase repeated clearly. "We are the silence between your thoughts." And on one recording, the whispers addressed me directly. "You should not have taken him back." My wife found him drawing symbols in chalk on the basement floor. Circles, lines, letters we couldn't read. He told her it was for the change. He didn't elaborate. She tried to wipe the chalk away. His hand clamped down on her wrist hard. "Stronger than a 7-year-old should be. Don't ruin it," he said. "It has to be perfect, or I'll have to start over again." We didn't go back down there. I finally opened the box we'd kept sealed since he vanished. Inside, one of his baby teeth. Back when he was little, we saved them. I took the tooth and compared it to his current ones. They didn't match. Different structure, different color. And his gums? They weren't bleeding, like the teeth had never fallen out. Because they hadn't. These were replacements. That night, I had a dream. I was back in the woods. But the trees whispered, thousands of voices, screaming from the leaves. "He is not yours. He is only wearing your memory. You brought the hollow thing home." I woke up choking. There was dirt in my mouth. And when I went to check his room, the bed was full of leaves. We tried to leave. Packed bags. Didn't say a word to him. But when we opened the front door, the world outside had changed. Not a street, just endless rows of trees. And in the distance, among them, figures, standing, watching. He came down the stairs, still smiling. "You can't leave now," he said. "They're not done with me yet." This morning, he came to us, said he was ready, asked us to follow him back to the woods. "They'll take me back," he said. "But they need a trade." Then he looked at us, both of us. "It doesn't have to be you," he said. "It just has to be someone you love." We haven't answered yet, but the trees are getting closer every night. And sometimes, I see a second front door in the hallway. Just for a moment, it's always open. If your child goes missing, and comes back unchanged, untouched, and just as you remember them, check their eyes, watch how they sleep. And most of all, never stop remembering who they were. Because the moment your memory fades, something else slips in. Something waiting, something hungry. And once it's inside your home, it never truly leaves.